Welcome to Mr. Blue Football Analysis. In recent times, the inverted fullback has begun to attract some attention. This video is about the great general who, after transforming Barcelona between 2008 and 2012, went on to transform Bayern Munich. It was reported all over Europe, especially in Spain, that Bayern were playing a 2-3-5. Within this system, it could also be seen as a 2-3-2-3. This was the mainstream during the 1940s and is also known as the WW formation. This 2-3-5 is nothing more than a typical 4-1-4-1 when in possession of the football. So basically, you can see a system like this as a 4-1-4-1. In the case of a team taking up high positions on the pitch when attacking this system, more often than not takes on a 2-3-5 shape. The fullback takes up a wide position in the forward line, while the wingers move infield a little in the half spaces. The pivot and the two central midfielders stay back, positioning themselves just in front of the centre-backs. This is how managers like Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel set up when managing Borussia Dortmund. Guardiola uses a system that is fundamentally different to what most teams use. Guardiola's fullbacks don't run up and down the touchline. Instead, they continue to take up positions in the half spaces. A lot of media sources have tied this to the WW formation, but it is different. In Guardiola's 2-3-5, it is only the wingers that occupy a position far out wide. And in the centre is the centre forward and two shadow forwards. Behind them are three players that remain in the same line, who will slide across to cover the half spaces behind the forwards. This is something that is repeated, so that it's easy for the players to understand at a glance what specific positions they need to be in. Whether it's a WW or a 2-3-5, it's not important. It's the movement and positioning that's important. Guardiola could keep possession for long periods of time thanks to the positional play of the 2-3-5 formation. The fullbacks cut out the risk on transitions by filling the half spaces in front of the centre-backs, where they are also on hand to receive passes from the centre-backs. During Pep's first season in charge, 2013-14, the three players in front of the centre-backs had problems carrying out their roles and circulating the ball around the pitch. They were too slow in possession and didn't get the ball out to the wings quick enough. In addition to positional play and movement, the players were not able to penetrate between the lines with accurate passes. So Guardiola developed fullback Philipp Lahm into a midfield player that has great positional awareness and can make key passes. So in this system, Lahm and Rafinha would squeeze in between the midfield to form a narrow line of three, with Alonso as the anchor. This could have minor changes to match the opposition's defence. Each position is precisely calculated to make it difficult for the opposition to put pressure on them. As well as the winger, the centre-back with the ball has three options for a forward pass: the fullback, the anchor and the midfielder. In addition to these players, a back pass to the goalkeeper, Neuer, who would act as a sweeper, was also an option. When in possession, the centre midfielders would take up an advanced position and the front line would be extremely crowded. The opposition would face a problem when pressing the wings, as they wouldn't know which way to face. If the opposition is protecting the centre, this means that there are large spaces available on the outside. So time and again, the fullback would take up positions out wide. However, if the opposition defended the wide areas tightly, then the fullback would move into the inside channels. In the case of the 2-3-5, there are many options for vertical passes and passes to keep possession. A key part of this system was to have tricky wingers that could go past defenders, and this system would try to isolate these tricky wingers. They then had the option of cutting inside to find a through pass, getting a shot away, or dribbling to the byline and cutting back. When the centre was too compact, the centre-back would play long diagonal passes out to a winger. This would cause the opposition to retreat towards their goal line. Most teams would keep two lines when defending. The centre midfielders then position themselves between the lines. As the ball is passed back to the inverted fullbacks, Bayern can start the process of breaking down the opposition's defence with short passes. If the opposition's wingers can't keep up with the inverted fullbacks, Bayern have another plan. They try to create a clear numerical advantage in the middle of the pitch. They move their centre-backs up, closer to the line of three. Lewandowski will move back into midfield to form a line with the centre midfielders, and now Bayern have 8 players in the middle zone. The fullbacks play an important role in breaking down the opposition by shifting from inside to outside constantly. They are able to increase their options for vertical passes. In addition to this, the fullbacks can be seen in the front line. This allows the wingers to play with freedom. The secret to the 2-3-5 is to use the zones perfectly and to get between the opposition's lines. The front 5 have to take up positions in the defence, and if a player moves forward, then another player moves forward. Then another player has to drop back and fill the space in the midfield. The aim is to receive the ball behind the back line. When the opposition form a defensive line in the midfield, they often face a problem. If they jump out to press, the Bavarian team could evade a tackle with subtle 1-2s, and this is where Bayern go about creating a numerical advantage. So this opposition's defence has to be passive, otherwise a 5 versus 4 is created. The number of defensive lines is significant for Bayern. Bayern can switch sides and maintain their rhythm. If the opposition use a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 or similar, Bayern make the best of the numerical advantage in midfield. The players have to keep the correct distances between each other, so there is a strong possibility that a 2-3-5 will be formed. Xabi Alonso would frequently drop back just a few meters to form angles and make it easier to put the ball in behind the back line with less pressure. This has direct relationship to the inverted fullbacks that take up positions in the half spaces and allow for short side change passes. This pattern is dangerous for the opposition because when the ball switches sides, the player can receive the ball facing forwards, and this gives them many playing options. When the winger receives the ball on the opposition side, it is easier to run at the defender because he is facing forward and he has momentum. Once the defender has pressed, it is not easy for the defender to regain the right position because turning takes valuable seconds. The idea of containing the opposition in a cage also has a great effect on gegenpressing. The stability of the gegenpress is brought about by making good use of short distances between the players in the 2-3-5 formation. Bayern have 3 to 5 players around the ball at any given time, and this makes it near impossible to set up a counter-attack. This system not only puts pressure on the players with the ball, but also covers the spaces and prevents the opposition dribbling or finding good passing angles. This means that if the opposition win back possession, the only option is to hit long passes to the 2 forwards. Bayern would have 2 or 3 players covering this though. Bayern continue to apply pressure to the opposition from a base formation of a 4-1-4-1, which is an asymmetric 4-1-3-2, with the winger on the ball side pressing higher. Often, the only time when the opposition can get control is when Bayern miss a chance they created. This system is made up of the best components and fitted together at the highest level to create a machine that controls possession with short passes, with each player carrying out a role and at the same time applying intense pressure to the opposition to win the ball back. Bayern's 4-1-4-1, 2-3-5 was one of the tactical highlights of the 2015-16 season. With the players at Pep's disposal, this system worked well. Douglas Costa, Koeman and Robben could hug the touchline and dribble. Müller was intelligent enough to find spaces in key positions behind the central striker, and Alaba was just as comfortable as a midfielder as he was a fullback. Boateng, Martinez and Alonso created a defensive triangle. Everything came together to form a formidable team. The only surprising aspect was the lack of a Champions League winners' medal around their necks.